Okay, today's video is on helping children to become emotionally resilient. How do we teach this to our children? Hello, my name is Nicole, and if you're new to my channel, I do videos all about growth mindset, helping parents learn how to teach their kids to become emotionally resilient, have a growth mindset, have a happy and successful mindset, because life is a mindset game. And so if you're interested in those things, go ahead and subscribe, and let's get into the video. So, we all want our children to be emotionally resilient, but that can be something that at first is hard to teach because we want our kids to just do it, and it's not taught necessarily like most things are taught. We can give our children knowledge about how the brain works or how they should respond or should act, but a lot of times I'll just let you know that it never really works. It never really implements action for them or changes their mind and helps them actually rewire their brain for success. Our bodies are very much prone to the survival instinct, and sometimes our brains don't always help us to be happy and successful. And we have to fight sometimes against those bad beliefs and negative thoughts that come into our minds and the hard emotions that we feel that seem to take over our agency, when in reality, we always have a choice. And I think a big part of emotional resilience is not teaching the child how to respond or a behavior that you want your child to have. It's more about their character and developing their brain so that they can naturally and more easily respond in ways that will help them to be happy in their lives, that will help them to make wiser choices, that will give them not just emotional intelligence and awareness, but help them have an action plan as to how to get the things that they really want in life. So let's just jump right in. I'm going to talk about the first one, and I have them written down here. The first thing is that we need to have the courage to allow our children to fail as parents. It is so easy to be a helicopter parent in a sense that we want to protect our children from failure and from hurt and from getting disappointed. If we know that they are not good enough to make the basketball team, we might discourage them from, doing basketball. Well, maybe do this instead, right? Because, and also too with grades or something like that, we want to make sure our children are successful and get good grades. So we will really, really push on that. And sometimes their grades become our grades. Sometimes, have you ever seen a parent who will push it so far that they're almost writing the paper or telling their child what to write because they want them to have a good grade? I know that all parents do this in some form or another, where we don't want our children to fail because we have this bad mindset ourselves around failure, that failure is bad. Our world and society teaches failure is bad, avoid failure at all costs, do things perfectly. I tend to be prone to perfectionism, and I have really had to work on allowing myself to fail and recognizing that failure is the recipe for success. If you want your child to be emotionally resilient, they have to be able to experience failure. And these are great times to teach your child emotional resilience. But first, we have to have the courage to allow them to fail in the first place. And so we want to encourage our children to try, even if we know they most likely are going to fail. The teaching aspect is, what do we do when we fail? How do we perceive failure? Is failure something that is bad, something that's unwanted, something that we should avoid at all costs? Or is it something that is necessary, normal, expected, and celebrated because of the growth and the learning that comes from failure? So I encourage you to even, reconceptualize what failure is to you, because we really lead by example. And what we believe, we're projecting that onto our kids, and that's what they're going to learn. And so failure is a big one. We need to allow our children to fail, and they need to be failing a lot, because that is how they learn. Because the definition of success is failure plus persistence. And I love that definition. You know, there's that story about Thomas Edison in inventing the light bulb, how he had to fail. How many times was it? Was it 1,000 times? Was it 10,000 times? That he had to fail in order to find a way that worked. And what did he say? He said, I didn't fail. I just learned 10,000 ways or 1,000 ways, I can't remember the number, of how many times, ways of how not to make a light bulb. But I only needed one, to know how to work. And I butchered that, I'm sorry. But the point is just that every time he failed, he learned. And that helped him get one step closer to success. And had he not been willing to fail all of those times, had he given up, he never would have invented the light bulb. And that brings me to my second point, is that we need to teach our children and tell our children stories. Use the power of stories, because there are so many wonderful examples of people in history and people in the world who have had this emotional resilience, who have failed and who have tried again and failed and tried. And they all have something in common where they are the authors of their story. And this is important. Use the power of story. It's important to teach our children that your story that you tell yourself, we all tell ourselves a story. And that is your choice. And you can either be a victim and tell your story that, I'm not very good at this thing, and, I tried and I failed and I'm just not good at it, and, people make fun of me, and be a victim mindset story. And that can be your story and your identity of why you didn't succeed or do something. And then you have a victor story where you say, yeah, I tried and I failed and people make fun of me, but I rise to the challenge. And I see that my parents love and support me, or I had a friend who encouraged me here, or even if there was no encouragement, I pushed through, and I challenge myself that I'm a victor. I know that if I just keep going, I'll be victorious. And so really I'm this underdog, and I romanticize and love myself because I am a challenger, and I have resilience, and I'm going to be a victor. So it's kind of like the same sort of story, but totally different story, a totally different viewpoint between a victim and a victor. And I think that a big thing is to share stories with your children about how when you have made a mistake, or when you have gone through something hard, what you did to overcome that thing, and the things and the stories that you told yourself, what you decided to believe, and whether that was good or bad. And eventually, how did you overcome that? And I guarantee you had a shift in your belief system and your mindset where you said, no more, and you changed it. This isn't going to be my story anymore. I'm going to do this now. Or you pushed through and said, I'm going to get through this. I'm never going to give up. I'm going to try. Or you were sick of getting kicked to the ground and said, to heck with it, I'm going. So I think that's really important. It's really important to model to your children these things, and to tell them stories of people in history, tell them your stories, and help them retell and identify their stories in a positive way. Okay, so my third one is don't lecture, model, and invite. These things are really hard to teach over lectures. It's going to just go right over your child's brain if I'm talking to my child the way I'm talking to you guys right now and just trying to fill them and inspire them and teach them how to be emotionally resilient. It doesn't really work in a lecture form. And we can do small lessons, like I'll do lessons with my kids and do some mindset lessons with them. But truly the best way to teach your child is to provide situations where you can model a growth mindset, and then you can invite them to come along and make it enticing. Let me give you an example. So playing a board game. Board games are really good opportunities to see the weaknesses come out in your child's emotional resilience. How do they respond when they lose? How do they respond when they win? Are they a good sport? How do they respond when they get frustrated, when they think someone is breaking a rule, when they are breaking a rule and get caught? When, there are so many good opportunities to teach your child when you're playing a game. And I had an experience just a couple of weeks ago. My family went on vacation and we were playing board games together one night. And my son, my oldest son, he's 8 years old, we were playing categories. It's where you have a list of categories and you have to write down a word that's in that category that starts with a certain letter. So if it was like name an animal and I had the word D, I would write dog or dinosaur or something like that. And you're timed, and so you have to go really quickly. And my son struggles with perfectionism and a little bit of anxiety around timing and tests and things like that. And he wants to get it right and he wants to get it perfect. And many times it's very easy as parents to be like, well, it doesn't need to be perfect. It's okay. It's okay. And just trying to coax them or lecture them into having emotional resilience. But that doesn't work, and that doesn't really work for us. When we feel a negative feeling or anxiety or feel like it needs to be perfect and someone's just like, well, it doesn't need to be perfect. It's fine. Just go out there and do it. And it doesn't work, you guys. But let me tell you, so at first, I'm trying to just coax him into playing the game and saying, it's all right, it doesn't need to be perfect, don't worry about it. Well, he just kind of like shut down in the game because it was just stressing him out and he couldn't think of a perfect word. So I tried to sit down and be on his team and help him, and he didn't like that. He didn't want help. I tried to give him suggestions. He's like, no, I wouldn't write that animal down. I would think of a different animal. So I'm like, okay. Well, we did the first round and he just sort of hated it. And he didn't get any on the list. He wrote down one. And anyways, but as we went around the room, I'm kind of like winking at my mom and some people in the family, my husband, like, okay, this is the time to show Mason that it's not about perfectionism. It actually, what makes the game really fun is when it's imperfect and when we mess up and when we fail and we all laugh about it. That we don't even care about winning. Here's what's the fun part of the game. So we went around the room, doing different categories. And if you've ever played the game, it's kind of hard to explain on video, but it's funny because people will try to stretch whatever the word is they thought of, I'm trying to think of an example, but things, at a park or something, the obvious answer would be a slide, but say they didn't think of slide and they're like, a snake, it's a little bit of a stretch, or that's not even that funny, but I'm trying to think off of the top of my head. Okay. But, or like a slug or something, I don't know. But when people try to stretch it, there can be some really, really funny ones. And then we go, no way, that does not count. And they try to tell their side of why they think it counts. And we're all like, no, or we're like, okay, we'll give it to you. So we're having fun laughing over some of these ridiculous things that people came up with to try to stretch to get their point. And as we modeled this, that it wasn't about perfection, and it wasn't about points, that it was way more fun to focus on just playing the game. He started to get it. And the next round, he started putting things down, and he got some ones wrong that wouldn't work, but we gave it to him. And, some things where we'd say, no, that doesn't work. And he would laugh and he'd say, oh, come on. And it just switched him, just completely 180 degrees difference when he saw the point of it all. He made this connection in his brain where it was like, okay, and not consciously is he thinking this, but his brain did this where it was like, okay, the point of this game is to be happy and to have fun. And look, everybody's having fun and I'm all stressed out. And he realized I can jump on board, I can bandwagon and I can let go of my frustrations. I mean, he was really upset. And I can choose to make lemons out of lemonade and have fun with this experience and have fun with this game. And I think that is just a really good example of how kids, when we model it and when we invite them in, that's all we can do. And eventually at some point they'll come in and then they'll get it and they'll go, oh. So then afterwards, after the game, I ended up talking to him. This is an example of emotional resilience. You did it. You were frustrated. I'm so proud of you, for trying again and allowing yourself to, make mistakes and coming back and playing when you were upset before, you felt like it was too hard, but you didn't give up. And it was so fun. And then he was begging to play again and again. And I said, see, like, if you hadn't done those things, you hadn't tried again, if you hadn't switched your mindset about it, nothing changed. The game's still the same. We still had to follow the game's rules. But it was our mindset about it that totally changed the experience. And I was just like, that's the power of your mind. That is what you have the ability to do. You can take any experience and choose whether it's going to be a crappy experience or a good experience. No matter the experience, you can change it for yourself. And that's the power of emotional resilience. And when he sort of got that, he was like, oh, yeah, like, I like it. I want to learn this stuff because it makes me happy. So I think playing a game, and sorry, I'm just babbling on, and I hope this isn't too long, guys, but that was just, that's a really powerful way, is to model and invite, and do it in a fun way, so that it's enticing, and people want to learn emotional resilience because it makes them happy, not because they have to. And that comes into my fourth one, where it's focus on character over behavior. And this is really good because we just want our children to behave a certain way. If they have a bad emotion, if they're angry or sad, sometimes we just want them to, like, well, don't behave that way. Don't be angry and sad. Like, get up, come on, or behave a certain way. Well, when you're angry, okay, you can be angry, but, you have to behave this certain way. You can't throw a tantrum. You can be angry, but you can't do this. I would like to challenge all of that and say that that's not helpful. That's not teaching your child emotional resilience. That's teaching them how they must perform around others, and actually doesn't help them be healthy with their emotions and their thoughts. It actually makes them develop some pretty bad limiting beliefs about themselves. And when they, when they're feeling a certain thing, they can or cannot do this, they either feel trapped or judged. And depending on the child, that will cause them to shut down and feel negative and bad, like they're bad, or it will cause them to rebel and, anyways. So when we forget about the behavior that we want to see in our child and focus more on the character that we want them to develop, it's okay when they're angry. It's okay when they're sad. But teaching them, look, I'm not looking for a behavior from you or a performance from you. Like, I care about your happiness. I know what it feels like to be angry and sad and upset and frustrated. And let me tell you, I hate feeling that way. And I know chances are you hate feeling that way too. It's not about the behavior that I want to see in you. It's that I want you to be happy. And I know that we're not happy all the time and that we have these emotions, and that's okay to feel those emotions. But there's things that you could do that will change it around for you so that you can be happy and free and at peace, and those feelings that you want to have. And so by developing certain belief systems and character traits that are already in you, letting those come out and feeding those, they'll help you combat those big emotions. They're so much bigger than those big emotions. And you get the power back. Instead of those emotions controlling you, you get to see those emotions as signals and then do something about that so that you could be happy and feel good. Rather than me telling them, okay, I know you're mad. I get it. But you can't behave this way. You can't stomp around. You can't do this. This is how I need you to behave. I need you to be kind. I need you to share. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. I need you to keep trying. It's just like, it doesn't work, guys. The lectures don't work. When we teach our child virtues and character, we introduce to them values like patience. And why that is not, patience. Like, don't you hate that? Like, oh, I'm not good at patience, because people use patience like it's a behavior that we have to have. And it's like, I'm not good at that. We got to view patience as like the greatest tool ever. Like, I can use this value, this character trait that's already in me. I just need to grow it to my advantage. That patience is what helps me to get to the thing I want, which is happiness, peace, joy. It's what helps me overcome the challenge. Now, patience is just one example, but these different values and character traits, love, hard work, honesty and integrity, these things are tools that help us get to where we want to be. And how much more freeing and motivating that is, because they take ownership of how they feel, what they're feeling, who they are, the character and values that they have, those tools that they can use to then feel the way they want to feel. How much more motivating is that? And that's teaching them how to be emotionally resilient, rather than here's what you do and here's the behavior and here's how to be emotionally resilient and this is the behavior we want to see. It doesn't work, you guys. It doesn't work. And sorry, I got a text here. Versus building those character traits and the reason why, and the compelling thing of here's why we learn all of these things, so that we can develop emotional resilience, so that we can be happy and we can be in control of our lives, so we can be empowered. That's kind of like a shift point. So if you notice, a lot of my things are shifting perspectives. We can really help teach our child to shift their perspective, introduce them to new perspectives, how to view, how to perceive failure, how to view their own story, by seeing examples of other people's stories, how to view this emotional resilience and what they're trying to learn and do, and characters. We're not concerned about behavior. We're concerned about character, so that we can be happy. All of these things, and being on your child's team to help them develop this, but they own it. They're the ones that have to develop it and practice it in themselves. Hello! Peekaboo! So my last one is talking about emotional intelligence. We need to teach our children how to be mindful of their emotions, and that is the first step, but it is not the only step, and it's not the last step. I feel like a lot of people stop there, that we just need to teach our children, about emotions, and that it's okay to feel those emotions and the behaviors that we want. But I don't think that that is true emotional resilience, you guys. But yes, we do need to teach our children to be mindful and accepting of what's going on, because that's what's going on. But then to teach them an action plan. And that's the big part, is that understanding how the brain works, that when I have a thought, it produces a chemical in my body, which produces the hormones and the emotions that I feel. Okay, what do I do with that? What am I feeling? And labeling that feeling. Is it, frustration, anger, sadness? Because an emotion is a signal to our brain and to us that's saying, hey, something's going on that's causing this. We stop and be mindful about it and think for a second what's going on? So that's a really good step to teach your child. Whenever they feel something, they should go, oh, what is this? What am I feeling? That's really good. And then to break that down further, after they've labeled what they feel, what they can do to kind of get out of that. So a lot of that is teaching them skills like how to breathe or move their body, or something that they can do with their physical body that will help kind of flush out some of that chemical and hormone. So then they can start to think a little clearly, so that they could do these next steps. And I'll do another video on some of these things, on what to do with emotion and how to teach this to your child. But for the sake of this long video, I'm so sorry, I just go on and on so many times. I need to remember to break it down better. But eventually, what I'm trying to get at is, after we learn emotional intelligence and we figure out what we can do with our emotions and accept our emotions, that it's okay to feel the way we feel, that emotions aren't bad. They're just signals. They're just what our brain is doing because of something. And we need to identify what that something was and what that belief was or thought, and then reconceptualize that. And then I think that the action plan is what's really powerful here, is teaching children, after they've learned this emotional intelligence, what they can actually do to get the happy chemicals in their body, to get the happy hormones in their body, to feel calm again, beyond breathing or changing their physical body a little bit. So much more beyond, so that they feel totally empowered to be able to tackle any emotion, feel no guilt around the emotion, no pressure to perform a certain behavior because they have an emotion. They don't label it as good or bad, but they see it as, okay, I'm feeling this and I don't like it and I want to change it. And they have an action plan to do that. And I will get into another video, if you guys want me to break that down, of all the different things, how you can teach your child to have an action plan so they can do this on their own. Not you just like drilling the behavior, but they can learn this skill on their own, and they choose it because they know they want to be happy, and that they know how to do that. And they feel totally, the emotions stop becoming overpowering, and they start becoming powerful signals that stop them in their tracks. And then they do something about it, and they change it around, and they turn it around. And that is emotional resilience. And if you can teach your child to do that, oh boy, how proud will you be? And how thankful will you be? And how happy will you be? Because you know that if a child can do that and have emotional resilience like that, that they will be happy and successful in their lives, that nothing can stop them, truly, that they can do anything that they set their mind to. And that's really the power, is that we want to teach our kids these things, that they can do anything, but then we don't set them up with the tools to do that. And so then they feel like, well, wait, maybe I can't, or maybe I'm not good enough, or maybe, I gotta fake it till I make it. Maybe they think I can, but I can't. Anyways, I'm going on again. I'm so sorry. But if you liked this video, go ahead and give it a like, and go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more of these videos. And I always struggle with the closeout. Like, I need like a catchphrase. See you again. But anyways, thanks for watching my video, you guys, and I really appreciate it. Let me know in the comments what is helpful to you, or what questions you have, or what struggles you have in trying to teach your children these things. And I would be happy, more than happy, to answer those questions, or to do more follow-up videos, or to just respond to you in the comments to help you, because I know that our children really need this, and I know that you can do this, and it will bless your life. So till next time, you guys, bye-bye.